Hello guys, welcome to the Trading Parrot. We're gonna do a quick update on Solana. Guys, if you like this type of content, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Hit the notification bell to get notified every time I put out one of these videos. My last update on Solana was 5 days ago, so we'll see if there's been big developments. I can tell you, at least from the point of view of the news and the social dominance, Solana is really taken out. If you want to trade Solana on a non-KYC exchange, you can consider bluffing. At the moment, it's offering this campaign that ends on the 23rd of July, which means that pretty much for any size of deposit, you get a decent bonus. You also get bonuses for trading volume. Being a non-KYC exchange, it means that you can deposit and start trading in minutes without having to go through the hassle of passing all the checks. It's available in almost every single country, and you can trade all the altcoins and use leverage. And speaking about leverage and amount of longs, something that stands out at the moment on Solana is the amount of longs. You can see that we put a new high of 68. That is almost as high as the previous cycle all-time high of 77, just roughly 9 points away. And I was looking at what are the chances that we can twist the arm of the highs of longs versus shorts that have been keeping us below 66 up until the past week. And if we focus on this resistance that we kept from the beginning of bear market in January 2022, we respected in December with the recent highs and the actual all-time high. Now we have more longs relative to then. This is an accumulation, is a ratio of longs. It's not necessarily the volume and size. And I was looking into doing a Fibonacci extension on the longs versus shorts with this pullback in here, just to see if a Fibonacci extension of 1 could get us somewhere into the all-time high of longs. And yes, more or less an extension of 1 give us around 74. In case we continue in this trajectory to the upside, maybe we can attract further longs. After all, that will make sense considering that on the weekly the social dominance is reaching this week 21%. That means that 21% of all the people talking out there on social networks, including YouTube, Reddit, Twitter, Instagram, everything, is talking about Solana at the moment. Definitely we need to look into the news to see what is attracting so many flies to the shed. We need to consider that we've been putting lower lows and lower highs in the momentum, in the price on Solana. So the performance has been really poor in the momentum from March and in the price from January 2025. That means that there was a cost in here of bearish divergences that is already being paid. Now what we need to focus on is on the possibility of reclaiming bullish momentum and doing something before the end of the bull cycle. You can tell that the trading range is kind of centered around 150, 140, and we have made this move in here, which is pretty bullish. It's a move of almost 100% to the upside with a retracement straight into the golden pocket. So there is a pretty healthy swing to get us started. We are defending the 130. That is also bullish. That is the bottom of the range. This area in here is a deviation, a liquidity hand, whatever you want to call it. And with a liquidity hand being reclaimed above 130, we should be expecting a move into the top of the range. In this case, around the $200. That is assuming, or that is thanks to having defended properly the support of 130 right after reclaiming a liquidity hand. The things that get me itchy with Solana is the accumulation of longs. Of course, this 68, and I'm trying to be devil's advocate and not push my own bias, which is very tough that we're gonna get beyond 68 in terms of longs. This time we put an all-time high. Now we have more longs than then. So either this is gonna pump like crazy, contrarian to what I'm expecting, it's gonna slap me in the face, or it's gonna do what it has been doing and it's gonna respect the statistics, and we're gonna start coming back down in here, smashing the longs. And what I mean by being devil's advocate is I'm trying to find a narrative in here where we can actually reach a higher level of longs that we have ever had since the previous bear market. And with this extension, we can get into 75, and that should be already something pretty impressive in terms of bullish performance. Now going to the weekly RSI before we go into liquidation pools and the news, you can see that if we just aim to repeat this current performance that already started more than a year ago, going down and down and down and down, and since your trend is your friend, if we were to go back again into that top of the range of the descending channel, we are gonna meet with 56 RSI. That's something that I already mentioned in this video 5 days ago, and it's still the case, it's still valid. We've been since then just moving sideways with the RSI one more week, nothing changed, and the target is 56.5 and puts the price at around 193 as of this week. Last week it was around the $200. I really want to get into $200 because that changes a lot of things, guys. First of all, we have most of the trading volume located within these two bands between 120 and 180. 180 has been already resistance in here, so if we can manage to break 180, prove that we are out of the long, painful, sideways channel in here parallel, a breakout above 180 is magnificent. When we get into $200, we are already proving that we have a healthy weekly structure with higher highs and higher lows, continuation, breakout, and a lot of things, getting out of the trap of all this volume profile that keeps us there. Then we can start talking about 240 and way higher prices of price discovery. But for now, for as long as we are trapped below that 56, there is no bullish weekly global breakout, which is what you probably want. Now, I'm not gonna wait until I get here to start buying Solana. Of course, Solana should have been purchased when we were talking about the areas of value of $100 to $115. We managed to get below $100 for a fraction of time, and if you blink, you lost that low risk and high reward opportunity. Nowadays, you can swing trade. Of course, we can find opportunities for that on each of these swings, but it's not the best opportunity like it was the liquidity hunt itself. That bottom at $95. Looking at the daily, we can see that we have this bull flag in here that has retraced from the lows of 95, this time only up until 126. The bull flag has already broken out and is threatening at the very least to go into $190 if the bull breakout is to be sustained. There is liquidity in there. The liquidity spans all the way to 230, so we have a good argument to go there. But you should be wondering yourself where the hell is the risk? Well, good that you asked for that, because the first line of defense of this breakout has already been penetrated. You can see that the line that is supporting the breakout has broken down and we're just going sideways in there, and it kind of lost the full momentum in the breakout. We have 4 candles in green, but now we're just going sideways and nothing is going on. And because of that, we need to identify the risk. So if you enter at the lows and you're sideways price action in here, this could turn into just a bullish consolidation in continuation to upside. But if we break the lows of 144, then we start threatening with breaking the bullish structure on the daily. The RSI has already done that, so we need to be kind of in the defense in here, because there is a significant pull at $121 that has grown with the sideways action in here. That is because with the breakout, new longs are getting tempted to enter. Those longs are definitely coming from retail. All of this social traction that we are seeing in here, 21%, definitely attracts a lot of flies to the shed. And at that point, you probably want to dispose it before you end up stinking too much. Now, looking at CryptoQuant, just to see the healthiness from the point of view of blockchain with additional data than just looking at the charts and the liquidity pools, we can see that we are in the neutral normal with a mix of green metrics. Particularly the taker buy is dominant at the moment with a cooling indicator on the spot volume bubble map. So you can see that this period, when we look at the bubble map, doesn't look that threatening from the point of view of the colors. We had a little bit of a peak at around $240 in January, but since then we've been in the green, just hovering in this area, talking about a cooling period. Notice that, of course, entering into a bear market implies cooling down too, so it's kind of a double-edged sword to talk about a cooling period. We want to be still in the bull market, so every cooling period takes you into another heating period, whereas this area in here takes you into the bear market. Anyways, let's look at those news before we wrap up the situation with Solana. As you can see, we have an 8, a 6, and a 7. 3 of them are bullish. Let's start with the more bullish. It says the US SEC issues first roadmap towards crypto ETFs approval. Solana tipped for next wave. Promising. New disclosure guidance is the opening step in a broad rulemaking that could slash approval times for spot crypto ETFs from 240 to just 75 days. Issuers say that next batch is likely to include Solana-based funds, giving Solana a clear path to institutional inflows. Solana rallied 2% immediately after this. I'm not surprised. Let's follow with 7 out of 10. Japan's Mina Bank teams with Solana Japan, and Fireblocks on a stablecoin payments pilot. The country's first digital native bank will test the yen-pegged stablecoins on Solana, wow, for everyday retail payments and real-world asset trading. A regulated banking trial showcases Solana's throughput to mainstream finance and could unlock sizable settlement volumes if rolled out nationwide. And we got a moderately bullish, which is hyperscale data to launch a high-performance Solana validator node. New York Exchange listed hyperscale data will spin up a Solana validator in Q3 and open it for delegated staking. More enterprise-grade validators deepen network security, which is something good, widen staking yield options, and signal growing corporate commitment to the SOL ecosystem. I don't know why it's just at 6 out of 10. I will say that is a little bit higher. So as you can see, there is plenty of fuzz going around. Solana hitting new highs of 21 on the weekly time frame is pretty impressive, and that's why I'm kind of open to the idea that maybe, just maybe, calling for a big warning by being with the longs at 66 is a little bit of an overreaction maybe from my side, particularly considering that this week we just achieved a peak of 68, which is already a higher high relative to that resistance of 66. So we should prepare at least for the idea psychologically that we break those levels and get into 75 then, in which case we could see the RSI getting into 56 on the weekly, bringing the price into that sexy 180, which we haven't been able to break, possibly getting into $200 top of the range, confirming that the breakout is here to stay for a little bit longer. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you with the next update. Bye bye. Hey, you haven't hit the like, you haven't write any comments, go on, do it now.